Hello, hello. How are you all doing today? It is Kamal Daniels with the 15th episode of the Peng Sports Podcast. It is 7:09 a.m. June the 9th. Summertime, loving in the summertime. It's summertime. We're in the thick of things. It's getting hot. It's getting wet. It's getting gross. And I love it. Summertime. Hot for no reason. Just hot for no reason. Jacksonville, hot. Tallahassee, hot. Miami, hot. Texas, hot. Arkansas, hot. Mississippi, Mississippi. I think that's how you spell it. Hot. But it's good. I'd much rather it be hot than me feeling nothing at all. But how are you guys doing this week? Every time we talk, something big happens. I don't understand it. I don't understand why it's called the dog days of summer. I don't know. Basketball. NBA basketball is coming. It's phenomenal. We got some football, real football. We got some American football. News. Dog days of summer. If this is the dog days of summer, then you're living a blessed life. Anyways, this podcast will not be as basketball heavy, but it will be a little heavy in the basketball department because it is the playoffs. And I would be not crazy, but I would. Why? As you hear the air conditioning coming on in the house, if you even heard it. Basketball, playoffs, it's fun. It's a fun time right now. Enjoy it, man, because soon August is going to come. And nothing happens in August. Maybe some trades, mini camp, preseason. But enjoy it. Enjoy this June. This great June. Usually the NBA season is about close to its conclusion by now, right? But anyways, I have to talk about something. Pertaining to basketball, of course. I remember it like it was yesterday. And what I'm describing to you is the day I saw LeBron James lose his reign as the king. It was a gloomy day in Tallahassee. Not raining, but gloomy. Gray outside. During the summertime, of course. That's how you know it was a bad day. I had to get some rice from the grocery store. I was making fried rice, which was delicious, I might add. That day, the world was crying. Tallahassee was crying. Because it was the beginning of the end of a marvelous career. But with every rainy, gloomy day, there comes flowers from that rain. And that flower that we saw bloom last week was Devin Booker. Another bloom that we saw, a blossoming of another flower called the Luka flower. It's Serbian, Slovenian, Slovakian. One of those kind of flowers. We saw a flower from St. Louis called the Jason Tatum flower blossom last week and weeks prior. We saw flowers called John Morant, Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell blossom. It's a new era in the NBA. And some people are afraid of change. And when you initially look at it, yeah, it's probably not the best for the NBA short term for LeBron James to lose. But long term, the NBA is looking bright. It's looking like a June 9th, 90 degrees outside. Actually, it's sort of gloomy outside right now. No, it's a 90 degrees outside. Bright day. Flowers blossoming. Pollen in the air. Bees all over the place. It's looking up. Now, Clippers Mavs. Quick little just recap on that. I think the Mavs' only weakness is not Kristaps. It's not Josh Richardson. It's not Tim Hardaway Jr. It's not Luka Doncic. It's the fitness. It's their fitness. They just don't look fit in the fourth quarters of every game. Third quarter, they look fine. Every time they closed out a third quarter, they won the game. But it was the fourth quarter every single time. And it just wasn't Luka who didn't have a great fourth quarter. It was everyone. And I feel like that's a fitness thing. Because every fourth quarter I saw, the Clippers dominated. Even the games where the Mavericks won, Clippers dominated. Because of their third quarter is the reason why the Dallas Mavericks won. So I really just think it's a fitness thing for the Mavericks. They're not having experience. They don't know how to equally distribute their energy throughout all four quarters properly. Terry Stotts got injured. No, Terry Stotts got injured. I don't know. He could have. But Terry Stotts resigned as coach for the Portland Trailblazers. Damian Lillard sending decoded messages. Does Damian Lillard leave? I thought Damian Lillard was of the mindset that he wants to win one in Portland, stay in Portland, be the guy. I thought that's what he wanted. But now it's looking like he could go. Interesting what happens when a man is pushed to the brink. Pushed to the edge of the cliff, what his character is. Now, this is nothing against Damian Lillard's character. I think that if he wants to make his career better, he can leave. I don't have nothing against Damian Lillard leaving. But if he's leaving, what was all of that before that saying that he wanted to stay? What was all of that? Hindsight's 2020, of course. Losing in the first round for what, the second year in a row? Third year in a row? No, they made the Western Conference Finals a few years back. Year and a half. Yeah. And then they got beat by Golden State without Kevin Durant. Anyways. Boston making moves. Again, we don't know what is going on. So to say that Brad Stevens is a bad choice or Danny Ainge stepping down, we don't know. We will see, though. That's why we play the game. But now I want to get into the second round matchups. Bucks Nets. I feel better about the Nets every single day. Every single day. Every single game, I feel better. Throughout the Celtics series. At first, they looked like, yeah, we're just better than you. We're going to play they played a lot of ISO. Not a real choppy offense. Just didn't look convincing. And I've always said for this Nets team, the best defense is a good offense. And they've shown that with the Bucks. Being fast. Being more fluid. And now is that because James Harden is injured? I don't think so. I think it's because Kevin, Kyrie are getting adjusted to each other playing. The teammates are getting adjusted to each other playing. They know which shots to take and when to not take a shot. When to give it up to Kyrie or to give it up to Katie. The chemistry thing. The big thing in this playoffs was a chemistry thing with the Lakers. Would they be able to build the chemistry necessary to win? Clearly they didn't. The Clippers, will they have the chemistry to build to win? Nets, same way. Nuggets, sort of same way. Because they have had mid-season adjustments with Jamal Murray getting injured. Right? Blake Griffin looks like he's still sponsored by Kia. Playing phenomenal. If I was a Detroit Pistons fan, how would you feel? How would you feel? Blake Griffin's balling all of a sudden. All of a sudden. There's nothing wrong with feeling some type of way about that, in my opinion. But good for Blake Griffin. Good for him. You know, motivated people do things differently. You know, when there's no motivation, why? If you don't care, I don't care. Why am I going to try? And I feel like that's Blake Griffin's attitude. Now, if you're a Piston fan, you try and then everyone else tries. You be the motivator. There's two sides to the coin. It just depends which side you want to be on. I love this Nets team. I don't love this Nets team. I really like this Nets team. I think they're figuring it out. They play like a Steve Nash team. Of course, I wasn't really that old when Steve Nash won his MVPs, but I've seen highlights. They play like a similar style, quick, slash, kick. Good passes. Now the Bucks. What do we do? What do you do with the Bucks? We go home. Then you go home, Milwaukee. You beat them 2 times at home without James Harden, twice, and they don't have James Harden this time. I believe the Bucks can win Game 3. Home, Giannis, Drew Holiday's going to play better. Chris Middleton's going to play better. It's home. It's home. Home is where the heart is. Bucks win Game 3. Now do Bucks can win Game 4? Do Bucks can win Game 5? Is the real question. I have Nets in 5. But I wouldn't be shocked if it was 6. But Nets in 5. Nets in 5. Because they look good. Better than I imagined. And I think this Bucks team is better than the 76ers team. Now, will the 76ers even get past the Hawks? I don't know. You're going to have to wait on that. A game tonight. Game 2 tonight is tonight, actually. Suns Nuggets, 9:30 Eastern. Check your local listings. The score of the game, Game 1, definitely looked lopsided. Lopsided? Do correct me. Lap? But it was a very high intensity, very high energy game. I really enjoyed that game. Very good game. Denver somewhat has the same issue as the Mavericks have. And I won't say they have a huge fitness problem. I just think they miss Jamal Murray. I think they have, of course, Jokic, MVP, congratulations. They have the best coach in basketball, in my opinion, and Mike Malone. I love Michael Malone. Again, I don't love Michael Malone. I like Michael Malone. We say love too much. I'm saying love too much. Anyways, like Michael Malone, they have a good front office. African-American GM, Calvin Booth, he got hired in 2020. He's done phenomenal. Not drafting, but yeah, I guess he helped with drafting Michael Porter Jr. He was assistant GM when he drafted him. Getting Austin Rivers. I believe his name is Bazo. They were able to get Aaron Gordon. Just really, really phenomenal front office work by the Nuggets, because they shouldn't be in the series. They shouldn't be Portland. They should not have been in Portland. But good coaching, having an MVP. That's why Jokic was the MVP. Because he showed he's the leader. He's the guy. He's what makes this engine run. He was the LeBron James. I think the MVP award should be called the LeBron James Award. I really do. Because truly the most valuable player was LeBron James. Or the Michael Jordan Award. One of the two. If it's not already named after someone. But this Nuggets team, with all that being said, this Nuggets team does not have enough. It does not have enough. Jamal Murray would have definitely given them enough. But I think we all need to put some respect on this Nuggets team. Next season, they will be a favorite of mine to win the championship. Why? Because LeBron isn't going to be as good, as great. See, when LeBron was great, when LeBron was at his peak, he still will be great. He still will be really good next season, I believe. He would knock out whole conferences. That's how good this guy was. And I guess that's what you guys say about Michael Jordan as well. That's what you say about great players. Probably Larry Bird. Just knock out whole conferences. Sometimes knock out the whole league before the league even started. Yeah, the Golden State Warriors look good, but how about the Cavaliers with LeBron? That's how phenomenal this guy was. With Cleveland Cavaliers teams who were inadequate. Knocking out whole conferences because he was in it. Just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Legendary. But the LeBron James effect is over, ladies and gentlemen. The league is open and it's accepting applicants. And there are a lot of applicants, as I said, a lot of new flowers rising in the NBA. And good stuff to the Suns. This is the last comment I say on the Suns Nuggets. Good stuff to the Suns. Responding well because the Nuggets were on them. The Nuggets were on them, playing very well. Now, back to the Eastern Conference. Hawks, 76ers. And I think this series is going to come down to one simple thing. Not simple, very important, very complex. It depends what kind of this you have. And that's experience. I think the series comes down strictly to whatever adjective you want to use to experience. I think the 76ers have more experience, and that's why they're going to win this game. I think even without Shake Milton nominate. He should be nominated. He's nominated for the best names in sports. Shake Milton. I think it's going to come down to experience. And I think that the 76ers would have won that game even without Shake Milton having a great third, fourth quarter. Because I think the Hawks are just as talented as the 76ers. I think they have a better coach this season than the 76ers. But the 76ers have been here before. And they know what's going on. And I think they've sort of figured out how to guard Trae Young. Not guard him, but somewhat lessen his effect. So, 76ers in 7. I think they split at home in Atlanta. I think, and it goes game 5, Sixers 6, Hawks 7, of course Sixers. Now, we're seeing with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons how elite they are, and Trae Young how elite they are. Well, how about the eliteness of Donovan Mitchell? Because there was a big question going into this playoffs for the Jazz and Donovan Mitchell. Can I win a championship with this Jazz team? Can I win a championship with Donovan Mitchell being my number one guy? Or can I just be competitive with this Jazz team? Or can I be competitive with Donovan Mitchell? And it got a little tight at the end of that Clippers game last night. But it is looking like this Jazz team is a championship team, and Donovan Mitchell looks like a championship caliber player. Finals MVP type player. Without a Mike Conley playing. Now, Mr. Leonard and PG-13 looked a little tired last night. You know, they had a game 7. So, if I was a Jazz fan, just like last series, you won game 1. But this series is far from over. Also, the lineup towards the end of the Clippers game. How'd you guys feel about that? Were you guys for it or against it? Again, Ty Lue's a very good coach, and it looked like it was going to work out. Just a poor last possession. Just with Rondo, Kennard, Kawhi, PG, Morris. It just looked a little Paul. I should say Paul George, not PG. You can't say PG. Really, it's really your preference, your prerogative. It looked like a little weird, a little funky lineup. Because you saw that really on the last possession where they're passing the ball around, they gave the ball to Morris. Now, do I believe in game 6, 7, Morris will be taking that shot? No. Game 1, away from home, really nothing to lose. I think that's what you do. I think, again, I still would like to win game 1. But, again, came off of game 7. Kawhi didn't play great. He was in foul trouble the whole game. Reggie Jackson got in some foul trouble. Well, he fouled out. So it just depends. Again, it's a two-sided coin. How do you want to look at it? Jazz look good. Jazz can be even better without Conley. Clippers can definitely look better. So, who's going to win that series? Clips in 6. Clips in 6. I didn't say a prediction for the Suns one, did I? I didn't. I'm just realizing it. Suns in... I'm tempted to say Suns in 5. I really am. Can you give me tonight? No. I need a prediction now. I'm going to say it's Suns in 5. Suns in 5. Clips in 6, Suns in 5. 76ers in 7. Nets in 5. That's my predictions for the playoffs. Give you guys a little Christmas gift early in this episode with a little predictions. Now, some people's predictions changed a little bit in the NFL. Why? Because Julio Jones got traded to the Tennessee Titans. And what did the Titans give up? 2022 second round pick and a 4th pick. And the Titans got a 6th-round pick as well. Not bad. I think the Titans won this trade, but I also know that Julio Jones will not be the biggest acquisition for the Titans this year. It's Bud Dupree. I think the defense determines how far they go. Now, do they finish first in the AFC South with the Jaguars? Trevor Lawrence, injured. I gotta just say that, man. Injured a little bit, injured again. Shoulder, hamstring. Oh, man. Goodness gracious. But this is not about the Jaguars. It's about Tennessee Titans. I think they finished first in the division. Behind the Jaguars. I want to say behind the Jaguars. But if I'm being realistic, first in the division. Colts second. Jaguars probably third. I do think they beat the Titans, Texans, and do the Titans become Super Bowl contenders with this? As I said, the defense will carry them most of the way. Will not carry them, but will be the deciding factor of how far they go. And I will never not be weary of Derrick Henry. You know, hopefully he never breaks down. Hopefully he runs into the sunset trucking people. But I will always be a little scared of Derrick Henry. Will he be able to hold up? What was nothing wrong with him, but it's just one of those things. AFC, second round of the AFC playoffs. Now is that progress from last year? They got knocked out in the first round last year. No clue. You're going to have to ask a Titans fan if that's progress. I think it's progress. But it's very difficult for me to say that they're going to beat the Chiefs. Will they be second in the AFC? Buffalo. It's going to be difficult. And I believe they won their division last year. So they're going to be playing the best of the best. Most difficult schedule in the AFC South. It's going to be an interesting season. Now, do the Titans fall into a similar category as the Browns did? And what I mean by that is, Ryan Tannehill has a problem distributing the ball. He's more focused on distributing the ball correctly to Julio. Does that hurt them winning? I don't know. We'll have to see. Do I think Baker and Tannehill are totally different players? No, I think they're very similar. One's 6'4" and the other one's 6'1", 6 foot. But that can be a problem. Different kind of wide receivers though. So we'll see. This is why we play the game. Is that what Herm Edwards said? Something along those lines, right? But anyways, yes, very, very interesting. NFL. I hear the 49ers are having some struggles as well, some injury problems. It's going to be an interesting NFL season. 17 games. How do players pace themselves? How do coaches coach games? Is there going to be more resting players? Resting's going to it's going to happen in the NFL. It's going to happen. We just see it in week 17, but I think we're going to see it week 8, week 9, week 10, 11, 12 sometimes. 17 games is a lot of games. Now, again, that's my word. That's my word of every Peng Sports podcast now. But anyways, I gave you some NBA predictions earlier. Anyone who knows me knows I like real football. Enjoy watching it. And I always suggest it to people who are interested in picking up something new in their athletic viewing experience. Always pick up football. And I'd recommend it more now than ever. Because Euros is coming up. Euros is 2020, 2021, whatever, which I don't know. The first game of the tournament is this Friday. If I'm not mistaken, it's Turkey versus Wales. With this, there's going to be a lot, I repeat, a lot of ball on. Football, real football. Basketball, NBA playoffs. So I'm telling you to pace yourself. I've looked at the schedule. There's one game a day where you can skip Euros. I'm telling you. If you haven't heard of the country, skip it. Unless it's Croatia. Unless Croatia's playing. If you haven't heard of the country, if two countries are playing each other and you haven't heard of either of those countries, that's the formula. Don't watch that game. Finland, you probably heard of Finland. There's no need to watch Finland. Okay? Skip one Euros game a day. 9, 12, 3. All the times. Yes, it starts early, people. They're in Europe. 5 hours ahead. So, it's usually the 12 o'clock game, too. So, this is what I want you to do. In between the 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock game, I need for you to hydrate. I need for you to do your work that you've been pushing off because there's so much ball on. I need for you to hydrate. After the 3 o'clock game, what I need for you to do, take a 30-minute nap, wake back up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. The game, NBA basketball game, will be starting at 7:30 to 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. I need for you to take a shower. I need for you to get ready for that. You need to have a regimen. Everyone's regimen is different. Schedule is different. But you can get lost in the sauce if you do not pace yourself. Hypertelevisinia is the disease that I'm listing for you medical expert. Hypertelevisinia. Too much television, too much ball on. You get trapped in the television. And that's not good for your mind. But with this, all of this, I will be predicting every single group. We'll get to the quarterfinals when the quarterfinals come. I will be predicting number 1 and number 2 in the group. I'm not predicting third. Yes, third place in this tournament, just like the Women's World Cup. If you guys have watched that, I know you guys got American pride, so you know a little bit about that. Some third place teams could go through, and that's how Euros is. The World Cup for men is not like that. Just the first 2 teams go through. But in Euros 2021 or 2020, whatever you want to call it, a third place team can qualify. So I will predict number 1 and 2 of each group. Starting with Group A. Group A has Italy, the Swiss, Turkey, and Wales. You've probably heard of all these teams. So yes, I would suggest you plan out your day when Group A is playing, because every team's good in this group. Not the group of death, but every team is good, and every team can at least make the quarterfinals in this group. Who do I have in first place? Italy, 7 points. Win 2, tie 1. I believe they're going to beat Turkey beat Wales, tie the Swiss. Now, second in the group. I'm tempted to say the Swiss because they're constantly a consistently good team with, I wouldn't say the best talent, but decent talent. Shaqiri, Xhaka, not anybody that on the club level where you're saying, oh, I'm scared. But internationally, you never know. But I'm going with Turkey, Sionchu. They have the AC Milan dude. I forget his name. Plays center mid, attacking mid. Really good. Solid player. And they have some ballers in Turkey. And they have a decent league. The domestic league isn't probably the most challenging, but it's not weak. Galatasaray in it. I have a little faith in Turkey. So, I got Turkey moving on, second place, 6 points against in the group. And they win 2 games. Lose to Italy, of course. Beat the Swiss, beat Wales. Yes. I am guessing the points, how many points they will get. It's a little impossible. But impossible is nothing. Laugh, live, love. It's my word of advice for the day. Impossible is nothing. Muhammad Ali quote, if I'm not mistaken. Group B, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, Russia. There's going to be some skippable games in this. Big game of this group will be Denmark and Belgium. And those are the 2 teams going through. Belgium moved through 9 points. Of course, Kevin De Bruyne. I need to release a list because Kevin De Bruyne was my number 2, but N'Golo Kante, maybe number 2. I'm scared. Oh my goodness, man. Again, I don't know about the 90s. The 90s was good. It was Serdov, if that's how he pronounced his name, the Netherlands gentleman. With Zidane, with Ronaldo. Oh my goodness. I don't know why do we like to separate, man? Joaquin, Thierry Henry was early 2000s, but still. Raul, David Beckham. Goodness gracious, man. Why do we have to compare? Why can't we appreciate? There's ballers all over the place. NBA, 90s ballers, 90s NFL, primetime, playmaker. Jerry Rice a little bit. Jerry Rice was in the 80s. That's how good he was. That's all I'm saying, man. We don't need to tear down. We can just uplift. But anyways, Belgium 9 points. Denmark goes through on 4 points. But Russia's always an interesting team. But Finland, Denmark, you got work to do. I suggest that game you don't need to watch. Belgium, Finland, I wouldn't suggest. Russia, Finland, I wouldn't suggest you watch those. If you want to, if you're Russian or Finnish, maybe you can watch it, but Belgium 9 points, Denmark 4 points. Group C, Austria, Netherlands, North Macedonia, Ukraine. Finished first in the group, North Macedonia. Yes. Where is North Macedonia? I believe it is Southeast Europe. No, I don't have North Macedonia. In fact, check me on where North Macedonia is. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe it's Southeast Europe. But number 1, who's going to finish first in this group? Netherlands, 5 points. Memphis Depay, Quincy Promes, Gini Wijnaldum, De Jong, De Ligt. They just have more talent. That they're the New York Nets, Brooklyn Nets of this tournament, where they just have a bunch of talent. They haven't put it together yet, though. They don't have the chemistry like this. If you were to, I would say they're a very talented team. No, a better comparison would be if the Pelicans made the playoffs. Talented, young. Memphis Depay is not that young. Genie Adams he's not old, but he's middle-aged for a footballer. They're the New Orleans Pelicans. If you like the New Orleans Pelicans, think they're exciting. They have exciting players on their team. In the playoffs, they could maybe in the Euros, like the Pelicans. I'm comparing them. In the Pelicans in playoffs could maybe surprise some people. Netherlands, I believe they can surprise some people. So Netherlands go through on 5 points, and Ukraine also go through on 5 points. Now let me see if that's real, because I sort of did the calculations. Netherlands can tie Ukraine, tie Austria, beat Northern Macedonia. Ukraine can tie Netherlands, tie Austria, beat Northern. Yes, that can happen. Both go through on 5 points. Netherlands go through on goal difference because they beat North Macedonia 3-0. Ukraine beat them 2-1. Alright? Yeah, I'm getting technical. Group D. Croatia, Scotland. How's my Scottish accent? Scotland. Czech Republic and England. Bloody hell, England. Who goes through on this group? Croatia number 1. Yeah, Croatia number 1, not England. I don't think England has it figured out. I don't think Gareth Southgate's the coach yet. I don't think he's figured it out. I don't think he's ready yet. Do I think he gets fired because he finishes second in the group, or because he may not go as far as people think? I don't think so. But I think Croatia, this is their last hurrah. The last time of them being Croatia. Rakitic is getting a little up there. Kovacic isn't crazy old, but Modric is getting up there. Versalco, Perisic, they're all getting a little up there. This is going to be the last hurrah. They're going to give it their all. And they know how to win. It's very important in these tournaments. You just know how to win. I just don't think England knows their best roster. And that can be a problem in the group stages. And in a tournament. If you don't know your best team, that's what wins tournaments. Knowing your best team and playing your best players. And I don't think England's best team involves in playing their best players. I think the team that works the best isn't necessarily the most talented, if that makes sense. Sort of like the Clippers last night. Maybe that closing lineup wasn't their best players, but that was the best lineup Ty Lue could have thought of. And that's what's going to happen with England. They're going to be closing the game with Rondo and Luke Kennard. And they had solid players, but Nicolas Batum's better, in my opinion. You know? Reggie Jackson, of course, was in foul trouble, but Reggie Jackson is a better player. Works, but is it your best? England go through on 5 points. So far, I think the only team that's had 9 points that's gone all 9 is Belgium. I think Netherlands can get all 9 points. I do. They have a chance. Of course, Ukraine would not get 9 points. They'd get 4 points. But I think Netherlands can get 9 points. Now, Group E. Poland, Slovakia, Spain, Sweden. This was an interesting group for me. Very interesting, because I don't know what I'm going to get out of Spain. The most consistent team used in the world is no longer the most consistent team in the world. They're very up and down. Spain, Slovakia, Poland, Sweden. Spain go through number 1, 5 points. Poland with 3 points, and Sweden also with 3 points. I think Slovakia is not a bad team. Not horrible. This is not another. This group is a similar group to Group A, where there's a clear team that should be better than everyone, like Italy. Like, I really do believe Italy should be better than everyone, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wales went through and the Swiss went through in that group. In this group, I'm choosing Spain 1, Poland 3 with 3 points, Sweden with also 3 points, so I'm choosing one third place team. I lied to you guys earlier. But I wouldn't be surprised if Poland and Sweden got 1 and 2. It wouldn't be crazy if Slovakia snuck in number 2. It's an interesting group. Group A and E are the dark horse groups that not a lot of people are going to be looking towards. A lot of people are going to be looking towards this group, Group F. Now, this group, you watch every game. For Group C, you're skipping all the games from Northern Macedonia in it, probably. When Austria plays Northern Macedonia, you're skipping. Northern Macedonia plays Ukraine. Northern Macedonia plays the Netherlands. You're not watching those games. Ukraine versus Austria, you may not be watching. Even though I suggest you watch Austria play with David Alaba, one of my favorite players. With Group B, Finland games, you're not watching. But these games, Group F, the group that everyone's talking about, the group of death. I'm putting air quotes around it because you can't see me. This is the group where you watch every game. France, Germany, Portugal, Hungary. Goodness gracious. Germany is not Germany. Even though they won the World Cup in 2014, they're not the same. Jerome Boateng isn't there. They have a lot of African young men on that team. Germany, diversity. Love it. Ballers, Leroy Sané, Serge Gnabry. They have a young 18-year-old. Plays for Bayern Munich. Very good. Kimmich. Mueller. Havertz. Warner. See, that team is very good. But they don't perform. They're the Clippers of 2020. Bubble Clippers. They just don't know. I don't know if they want to be there. But anyways, France have the number 1 and maybe probably the number 2 player in the world. And top 3 striker in the world. I think he's number 3. Karim Benzema. So France moves 7 points. Portugal's through 5 points. Hopefully, we can see Germany go through as well. They can go through on 4 points if I'm not mistaken. They can lose to. They can tie Portugal, lose to France, beat Hungary, 4 points, and Portugal can tie France. See, now that's a predicament. Germany would have to go through on 3 points. I'm not a math major. But anyways, France move on 7 points, Portugal 5 points. Again, this is another last hurrah. But difference between Ronaldo and Belgium and Croatia. Ronaldo's won a Euro, so not really a last hurrah for Ronaldo. He's won it. Now, the champions of the 2020-2021 Euros, whichever one you want to call it. Can I have a drum roll, please? Belgium. Belgium win out of desperation, just like Croatia, last hurrah. Over the years, this team has gone slightly weaker and weaker and weaker. But they still have the core: Hazard, Mertens, Lukaku. Tielemans has stepped up a little bit. But it's do or die for them. I have faith in them. It's about their time. They know their best team, and they have their best style of play. They have 1 and the two components that you need to know to win a tournament. Your best team and your best players are playing in it. Golden Boot winner of the tournament, Karim Benzema. Lukaku, player of the tournament. And no Copa America predictions. Yes, I know it's coming up, but I just feel with everything that's going on in Colombia, Argentina, I think we need to pump the brakes on that. And the tournament may not even happen. And I also read yesterday actually, that the French president got slapped in the face. Interesting. We all got our issues, people. In the United States, we got our problems, but the other countries got their problems way worse. That's why whenever I hear negative talk from a person who is blessed, I don't tell them to stop it, because everyone does have their problems, and your problems are real, but it's not Honduras where people are making stairs out of mud because of a hurricane that happened at the end of 2020, which caused mud levels to rise and flooding. And a pandemic was going on at the same time. And people are literally walking from Honduras to the United States. Just saying, people. Appreciate what you have. This is a blessing to this podcast. It's a blessing to listen. It's a blessing to hear. It's a blessing to talk. It's a blessing to look at people. And I don't mean blessing in a godly way. You don't have to, it's not a benevolence kind of ordeal. Fortunate maybe should be the better word for it. You're very fortunate to be living the life you live. You could have been a fly or a roach. Roaches don't do anything to people and they die every day. You're very fortunate. That's all I want to say. Again, hydrate during all this ball that will be on basketball, real football, hockey, if you watch hockey. I guess a puck's in hockey. But our time together has come to an end once again. I had fun. Once again. Hopefully you had fun listening. Thank you for watching. This is Kamal Daniels, this is episode 15 of the Peng Sports Podcast. Have a good rest of the week. Turn in that assignment. It's due on Friday. Turn it in. Proofread it, please. Turn the assignment in. Your quarter's about to end. You need to review all your stats and sheets. Go over that resume one more time. Practice that interview question one more time. Come on, man. Let's go. All right. Thank you guys for listening to the Peng Sports Podcast, as I said earlier. Have a good rest of the week.